What's up, guys? Friday, September 9th. This is the BatX Release Show on Covers with Derek Carty. I'm your co-host, Josh Ingles. Thanks for joining us here every Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday at 11. Welcome, everybody in the chat. It's nice to see the regulars always there supporting us. We were off to a flying start on Wednesday, and I was watching the MLB app on Dickerson's second at bat, in play outs. I'm like, sweet. Stretched a single to a double, got thrown out, but it obviously counts as a hit. But what are you gonna do? I mean, we'll be paying attention to Springs if they open up that market in the next time, because we'll be blasting the under.
Springs was the weird one, just pulled at 3 innings for no reason at all. I mean, Dickerson was 40% to hit, he was more likely to lose. Yeah. It was great odds, but the Springs one was just weird.
Yeah, it just looks like they're just trying to get ready for a playoff run, and how things work over there. So, but it will be interesting to see if the books adjust to that Springs line next time out, knowing that he probably could be on a short leash. But a 2-2 day, and if you're betting to win a unit, we're still profitable because of the plus money play. Massive day here. Absolutely massive day. 7 releases, so let's get right to it. Here's the release procedure. Derek's influence literally moves the lines, and we see it right after we bet. So bit of a procedure here to make sure everybody can get the same price at the same number. We'll tell you what books available, and then we'll try to give you some secondary books too, where lines are also similar, prices are similar. Then we'll tell you what game it is, give you some time. Find the game. We'll tell you which prop market it is. Again, giving you some time. Find the market. And then finally, we'll drop everything, the player, the side, the over, under, and then it's always a go here, no cancels. And we'll just kind of sit there and watch the line moves. Does 7 break the previous record of 6? It might. If 6 was a record, then we're certainly beating it today. So let's get right to it. Release number 1, Bet MGM first. 365 available, cool bet available, bet win available. The game in question, Tampa Bay at the Yankees. Head over to that game, find it, over to the prop market, pitcher strikeouts. And as I do a quick conversion in my head, the number's still there. As we, producer Mick brings up some decimal odds, so let's get that out immediately. For release number 1, Frankie Montas, over 4.5 Ks, minus 147. Frankie Montas, over 4.5 Ks, minus 147. This is the one we put at the top because the line's moving. We're starting to see some 5.5s out there. What's the projection if people are sitting there looking at 5.5? Is it still worth some of the big plus money, plus 120 out there in this projection?
Yeah, it definitely is. The projection is 6.2. So it's more likely to go over the 4.5 number. You're probably actually getting a little bit more value on if you're getting 5.5, like plus 130, 135. I like that too. Montas hasn't quite looked right lately, so I'm a little more comfortable with the 4.5 line personally. But the projection 6.2, so it's a big difference.
How big does someone like Jose Trevino play in these projections here as by far the best framing catcher in all of baseball?
Yeah, I mean, the back considers framing, so that's going into it. And, assuming we get Trevino behind the plate, that's definitely going to help Montas.
As Ryan Schultz says, Betway minus 143, so another good price there. DK kind of a little off these prices. But you said even at minus 175, you might, I'm sure it's probably a similar implied projection is probably plus 130, plus 130 on the 5.5.
Yeah, so I would much rather bet the 5.5 plus 130 than like a 4.5 minus 175 or minus 190. Like I've seen those out there. So I either wanted it like minus 150 or I want the 5.5 line.
Yeah. So if that's the way the market's moving and you guys aren't comfortable laying the minus 175, like Derek says, give it some time. The market's going that way. They should kind of settle on the 5.5. But let's keep going. Frankie Montas over 4.5 Ks. Good start in his last one, so he's kind of rebounded, which makes this play a little better here too. Release number 2, we are at 365, also at MGM DK bet win. The game we are looking at is Cleveland at Minnesota, the Guardians at the Twins. Give you some time to find that. Go over to player props. Right up at the top, we're going pitcher market outs. Pitcher outs. As we see that, that number is still available for release number 2. Minnesota's Dylan Bundy over 15.5 outs plus 160. A massive number plus 160. The books don't want to move off this 15.5 number, and they're giving us an incredible plus 160. Let us know if you're getting that number, where it's moving to. Here's the thing. Bundy, we know Minnesota does have a tight leash on most of their starters. But today, they have 4 of their high leverage arms pitching on back-to-back days. If there's a day to hit plus 160 over 5.5, it's probably today. And the thing about Cleveland is they're a low strikeout team, but because of that, they put a lot of balls in play and are one of the lowest pitches per plate appearance team. So they really don't run up a pitch count either.
Yeah. With Bundy, sometimes he'll get pulled at 60 pitches. Sometimes he'll go 90. I think the bat's projecting like low 80s here and 16.1 outs. So it's not like it's projecting massively above this line. It's actually close to a coin flip play, but we're getting it at such ridiculous odds. And like you said, with the bullpen the way it is, I do really like this play.
Yeah, over 14.5 minus 124 lines.
Over 14. Yeah. So you're probably not getting quite as much value on that, but it's so much easier for him to just go 5 innings than to pitch into the 6th. So I really like that if you're finding 14.5 lines.
Yeah. So 2 different ways to look at that. Getting the value at plus 160, which is massive, and you usually don't see in out markets, or probably the more probable one at minus 124, the over 14.5. So Dylan Bundy over 15.5 outs plus 160. That was at bet 365. And like you said, the projection is just over 16. So if you're and they pulled it. And it's gone. Thank you, JPC4, for letting us know that. So that will probably get jumped up to 15. Jumping over to release 3 as we move along, still at bet 365. That's available at BetMGM and Caesars as well. The game in question, Cleveland at Minnesota. Back to it, not going far. Go over to player props. Second tab, we are going strikeouts. As we see, now we have a market for Cal Quantrill, but not in the outs. So for release number 3, Dylan Bundy over 2.5 Ks plus 130. This line's moved a bit more, but 2.5 Ks is something you don't see too often for a guy projected for 6 innings or to pitch into the 6th inning. And we're starting to see the market kind of go the other way there. Derek, what do you like here?
Yeah, I really just like the number. Like you said, this Cleveland offense is absurdly low strikeout, by far the lowest strikeout offense on the slate. But if we're expecting Bundy, to go fairly deep into the game because the dynamics here, and we're getting it at plus money, it's a very similar play. The bat's projecting 2.9, but we're getting it at plus 130. So it's really good value. But Bundy plays today are definitely high variance because you never know what his leash is going to be.
Yeah, so take that in consideration when people are seeing these lines at a different price. As we see DK plus 120, that you're probably getting sketchy there, where you're looking how you judge a coin flip in the price, how many points you want on that coin flip. So this is more of a play on volume alone, like Derek said, with high variance though. But the one thing I noticed when looking at K prices for opposing pitchers for Cleveland, these the books obviously know that Cleveland's a low strikeout team, so that's already baked into the price. As I saw Luis Castillo, who's a 7.5 regular, K total guy. When he went into Cleveland, it was always at 6.5 and moved the full line pretty much minus 110 aside. So it is baked into the price. So that also favors us in there. So jumping off of the double dip on Bundy, release number 4, 365, but available at DK and Caesars as well. And we are going to the battle of the Titans, Tigers at Royals at Kauffman. Where's Kauffman sit? Kauffman's more of a pitcher-friendly park. It is big. It's home run low, but
yeah, it's I think closer to neutral overall. But yeah, definitely suppresses home runs, suppresses strikeouts a little bit.
Nice. Okay, prop markets. We are on pitcher outs. Detroit at Kansas City, pitcher outs. As our line is still there, we are going Kansas City's Daniel Lynch over 15.5 outs minus 120. Lynch over 15.5 outs minus 120. Let us know where you're seeing it. Like I said, available at DK Caesars as well here at 365. I mean, you would expect the books to price this a little differently, and they probably should, and it probably will, I don't know, become more efficient later. But this is still the worst offense in baseball, like we said, in a home run suppressing park. And the issue with Lynch when he saw the Tigers last time, which was a couple starts ago, gave up some long balls, and he went, I think it was like 4 clean innings before getting into trouble. So he did navigate this lineup well. What do we got for projections here, Derek?
Yeah, the projection's a full inning above the line. It's 18.5. So there's a lot of value here. Obviously you'd prefer a 14.5 line, so he just has to complete the 5th, but the bat's basically projecting him to go 6 full innings here. So this is really good.
Yep. And as we look at pitches per plate appearance, Detroit, obviously high swinging team, 4 few pitches per plate appearance, second highest strike percentage per pitch. There's not a lot to like about this Detroit team, and
no, they're bad. We're expecting Lynch to just be really efficient against them because they're really bad, and probably home runs not going to be as much of an issue in this park.
And I mentioned it the last time we bet against them because it's something we've been doing and been profitable on. The top of this order, you can go through it quickly, as opposed it's like the reverse idea of a good lineup. The top of their order swings early and counts, and when you're going through the third time and looking, which is right around this 15.5 point, it really can come in handy. So we are Daniel Lynch over 15.5 outs minus 120. Let us know if any of your lines moving out there in the chat. Always appreciate it. To release number 5, losing count. Back at 365. Available at CoolBet, BetWin, BetMGM. So widely available here. Going back to Kauffman Stadium, going back to the K. Tigers at Royals. Tigers at Royals. And the prop market we're looking at here is strikeouts. And our line is there. And with one pitcher, we'll get this out quick. We are going Daniel Lynch over 4.5 Ks plus 120. Not a lot of choices there in the prop navigation. Let us know if you got that number, if it's moving. Daniel Lynch over 4.5 Ks plus 120. I don't know. It's just pretty much the same thing we just said about the outs. When one's projecting well, the other one's projecting well.
Yeah, and the Tigers are the second most strikeout heavy offense on this slate. The park suppresses it a little bit, like I said, but just this lineup in general is just so strikeout friendly.
Ooh, does Reed Phillips really have a minus 114 for over 4.5 Ks? What did you say the projection was, as I'm trying to do it in my head?
5.6, but yeah, I've seen as bad as negative 123 for this.
And is that at the low end? Even at the low end right now, is that a play?
Probably not. Anywhere plus money, I like it. Once you start going into the minuses, like it's fine, but I don't like it as much.
All right. So there we are, double dipping on Daniel Lynch, just as we were Dylan Bundy, as the projections like both those guys in good matchups today. So Dylan Lynch over 4.5 Ks plus 120. Jumping over to release 6, we are now counting on the other hand, FanDuel, but 365, BetWin, CoolBet, Unibet. widely available. Going to the late game. Dodgers at Padres. Dodgers at Padres. Market we're looking at. Pitcher strikeouts. Everything's in place there. Pitcher strikeouts for release number 6, San Diego's Mike Clevenger, over 4.5 Ks. Correct, Derek?
That's correct. It's rare that I do over K props against the Dodgers, but that's where the system says the value is today. The bet's projecting about 5.1. So again, it's close to a coin flip one, but we're getting it at really, really good odds. And especially compared to the rest of the market, there's some books with minus odds here. I've seen like minus 110. So this is a really good number.
Yep. Malinsky getting a good price too. DK plus 120.
Yeah, I would say for this one, once you get much under plus 120, I don't like it as much. Maybe plus 115 is fine, but below that, you're kind of stretching it.
Okay, time to Pete. Likes it too. What do we like? I think that the Dodgers tagged him a bit in his last outing, but he goes from a hot Dodger stadium that was probably like, I think it was like 95 degrees last week, to low temperature, high humidity Petco Park. Big upgrade for him here?
Yeah, definitely a nice park upgrade. Still about close to 80 degrees, I think. So it's not ideal, but the park upgrade is significant.
Nice. Okay, Mike Clevenger, over 4.5 Ks, good plus money there. Jumping over to release 7. We are at DK. This is also available at 365. The game in question, Dodgers at Padres. Going back to the game, I think we've set up, if you're betting on all these and watching all these games, we've set up a quite nice Friday evening for you, going all the way to the West Coast here. Prop market, strikeouts. Over to pitcher props. Line is still there for our final release of the day, number 7. Los Angeles' Dustin May, under 5.5 Ks, minus 165. Dustin May, under 5.5 Ks, 165. Let us know if you're getting that, because this was recently went the other way for us, correct? It was 4.5, and then we saw a bunch of books kind of go to 5.5 here.
Yeah, but some of the 5.5 lines, like Pinnacle is minus 222. Like we're still getting at a really good number here at minus 165. And the bet's projection is just a hair over 4. So I do like
this
number.
At 4.5 plus money, no?
Yeah. So 4.5 plus money is fine. Also, I'm totally fine if you find a 4.5 plus money bet. Again, maybe slightly. Actually, on that, it depends what the odds you're getting. But, the 5.5 is about 75% to win. The bet thinks the 4.5 is about 62%. So it's really just a matter of, like, May is facing a really good offense, and he's a pitcher with a short leash. He's had a couple of easy matchups against the Marlins this year. And, this is just the line is too high. Everyone loves May. He's a great pitcher. He's got great stuff. The strikeouts don't always come with it for him.
And then we'll be at a very precarious spot third time through the order when he has to face Soto and Machado, and hopefully.
Yeah. And it's a low strikeout Padres offense.
So there we go. Seven plays, a record 7 plays here. No hangover after Thursday night football. Firing 7 shots here right at you. Couple double dips, plenty of double games here. Derek woke up and he said, I love the market. So there's something to notice there. So appreciate everybody in the chat. Let's recap all these 7 plays if we can get it in by tomorrow. Frankie Montas over 4.5 Ks. We got that. Then we jumped over to a double dip of Bundy over 15.5 outs plus money, over 2.5 Ks plus 130. That Minnesota bullpen is hanging on by a thread right now. Lots of unavailable arms. Daniel Lynch over 15.5 outs, -120. Daniel Lynch over 4.5 Ks, +120. Same talking points for both of those double dip pitchers. Mike Clevenger over 4.5 Ks, hitting against the Dodgers finally here. And then going Dustin May, short leash, under 5.5 Ks versus a good San Diego offense. Exactly. JT Eel says, I'm all loaded up for the night, boys. And that's what this is all about. So appreciate it as always for jumping on, Derek. 7 plays. It's not an easy thing to get through. So appreciate it, producer Mick as well. We'll see everybody back here Tuesday with a Bad X release. But me and Derek will be releasing Blitz NFL projections for Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. We'll get those up and going hopefully for Saturday. So thanks for sticking around, and we'll see you soon.